Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes, and welcome to night number 4 of the overnight feed recaps for Big Brother season 26. A good Monday morning to y'all. All right, so yesterday we had the backyard available for the house guest. As a result, everything a little bit more chill than the day before, the night before. Of course, you have a nuclear blast and it'd be more chill than we had on Saturday, but things certainly quieted down a little bit. But doesn't mean there weren't still conversations to be had. So we're going to talk about that real quickly. We'll talk about a couple of things that I noticed picked out from the episode itself that we had last night on CBS. So let's just get right down to it. First of all, let's talk about the episode summary. We saw the introduction of all the house guests. I forgot with them all being in the backyard and all that, they hadn't sat down and done their intros yet. But we get to see that. We see why maybe Tucker and Lisa have such a beef against each other, or at least Tucker has a beef against Lisa. A lot of it has to do with the intros right off the bat. As soon as Tucker mentions that he's a chef, Lisa jumps in, kind of steals some of his intro thunder and all of that. It looks like for the first few minutes they start talking, they already were a little bit at odds with each other. But we do see that. We also found out that, because Kenny is the undercover cop, but we knew he wasn't going to tell anyone that, right? What turns out, he's telling everyone, at least in the intros, that he runs a food truck, operates a food truck, something like that. There's a few house guests who've noticed some of his tattoos that look to be very military or police officer looking tattoos, but I haven't heard a lot of that conversation lately. We'll see. We'll see if Kenny sticks around long enough for that to become an issue, or Thursday's it. Certainly is a possibility that Kenny could be going home this week. We will find out. All right, so we do have that. We find out we have the 4 have-nots. We found out that they asked for, Ansley asked for volunteers, and all 4 of our have-nots actually volunteered to do have-nots for the week. So we had that. We found out a little bit more about these 2 upgrades, these 2 powers that MJ and that Quinn have. MJ's veto power is going to be used. Remember her, she can take someone who is pull someone off the block and then let America pick the replacement. So kind of take away some of the power of the HOH. Well, it turns out that MJ's veto power is used at the end of a veto meeting itself. We've got a veto meeting this afternoon. I think it's this afternoon. Should be this afternoon. She could use it. We'll see if she does or not. But she uses her power at the end of a veto meeting. Is when it takes place for the next 4 weeks. 4 weeks, America picks a replacement. Quinn's deep fake video. He actually, we learned a little bit more about that. He strips all power from the HOH. He secretly picks all nominees, which means the initial nominees and the replacement as well, if necessary. And apparently somehow they take an HOH, they create an avatar, an AI of the house HOH, and Quinn can control that and somehow spread rumors. Not sure how that's going to work. I'll just say this. Seems like one heck of a power. And if I'm the person who is HOH and Quinn takes over my entire HOH with this power, I would be chapped. Absolutely chapped. So there you have it. That's what we had from the episodes themselves. It does sound like the HOH is going to be picking 3 noms all season long, or at least the first part of the season, as opposed to just this week. So we had that. And then the other thing we find out is that the AI battle is going to take place right before the eviction. So I guess Thursday nights we'll have an AI battle. Will it be live? Maybe. Either that or it'll be right before the live episode. But you'll have that. So these house guests aren't going to know who the 2 people are going to be on the block until right before the eviction takes place. It's going to make it a little bit tougher for them to try to do any kind of consensus and vote as a group or anything else. A lot more moving parts on Thursday nights, it sounds like. All right, let's see what else. We did see on the episode the HOH game that took place, broken up into different rounds. Eventually, Angela wins as we expected. Kenny came in second. It's kind of cool, shuffleboard type deal. I thought it was interesting. A lot better than my HOH, my very first HOH of my season, where I was hanging onto a log and it was very endurance based. I would have loved one that had shuffleboard. I think that would have been right up my alley. But anyway, we did see that competition itself. All right, and then what else we have as part of the episode? Quinn told Angela that he has the power I'm not sure that we knew that beforehand, but he did tell Angela that he has the power, and they formed a final two at the very beginning. We saw night before last in the overnight feeds him kind of nervous that he had told Angela. At the time, I didn't think it was Angela. I thought it was Leah, but I think it's Angela he maybe was talking about. A little nervous that he told Angela that he has the power now that she's had a few meltdowns and all that. But he did tell Angela he has the power. They agreed on a final two, working to the very end with her being HOH and him having this power. We'll see if they make it to final two. Kind of thinking that may not be the situation. All right, we also saw in the episode this threat that Matt made to Angela that led to the call out Saturday morning and all that. Kind of weak sauce, in my opinion. Maybe Matt didn't phrase it that well, saying, if you had put me on the block, I would have, or if you had talked about putting me on the block, I would have then told you I was going to put you back. Why make threats based on a situation that never actually occurred? It wasn't the best talking situation for Matt. Probably from strategy standpoint, didn't make a lot of sense, but it wasn't really aggressive and threatening and all that. It was more just him saying, if you'd done this, I would have done that. Should have been bygones, let bygones be bygones, and moved on. Not the way it worked out. But we did finally see the initial conversation that took place before the live feeds. And that was the basis for her calling out Matt that Saturday morning. All right. Other things beyond the episode itself. We had Matt and Angela met late afternoon yesterday. Had a little meeting where they were basically making up a little bit more of Angela's apology to her. She kind of apologized and tried to explain why she had said what she did. Matt told a long story about growing up and his mom working at Chick-fil-A. A very interesting story, and really brought the viewers in, brought Angela in as well. As soon as they get done, though, they basically, I don't think either one was very sincere. Perhaps I think both of them were just trying to get the other one on board with them. Because it just doesn't seem like it really landed based on conversations that took place a little bit later. But as part of that conversation, Matt had said that was trying to see what was going on. Angela was basically trying to see if there's some way to make sure that Matt doesn't put her up the next week, or Angela or anyone else of who she thinks is on Matt's side. And basically, they agreed that if they could find someone else to go up as a renom this week, that they would do that so that Angela would do that so that Matt didn't have to go up. But Angela threw in this condition. I'm not going to pick someone. I don't want any more blood on my hands, Matt. Matt. I don't want any more blood on my hands, Matt. So you're going to have to go find the person to be the pawn. You're going to have to get them to agree to be the pawn. And if you can do that, then yeah, I'll put them up instead of you. That's a tall order, right? Normally HOH does that kind of discussion, but now she wants Matt to do it. And Matt at that point had suggested that, maybe T-Core could be going up. Maybe T-Core would be a perfect solution. So based on that, we have some things happen a little bit later in the day or the evening that we'll talk about. Basically, that later in the evening, Angela now thinks that Matt has actually talked to T-Core about being a pawn, and that maybe T-Core has agreed to be a pawn as a renom so that Matt doesn't have to go up. Nah, yeah, she hadn't agreed. She doesn't even know that they're talking about that, but Angela thinks that's the case. All right. We've got Matt talking to Tucker. Matt talking about saying more than you need to, as he did in that initial conversation with Angela. Matt talked to Tucker, who already the two of them aren't getting along well. Tucker definitely has a few people in his house that he just doesn't feel like he's vibing with, and Matt's one of them. He's a little upset with Matt after the whole Saturday morning call out. He felt like he was a little aggressive in the way he stood up when Angela was talking and kind of coming over to him. Tucker's feeling very sympathetic to Angela. So Matt's already not on Tucker's great list. But this doesn't help anymore, because Matt actually talked to Tucker, told him that he had suggested to Angela that maybe Tucker could be the pawn, the renom this week, today, but just as a pawn. I don't want you going anywhere, Tucker. But yeah, I did tell Angela that maybe she ought to consider putting you up today. Yeah, that works wonders for the relationship, doesn't it? That'll certainly make Tucker that much more anti Matt. And sure enough, he's going to go off on Matt a little bit later to Cam, basically just complaining to Cam about Matt and the way he plays the house and his attitudes and everything else. All right, we do have Angela very happy. I will call her super happy. Angela's emotions way up here and way down there. It seems like on a day-to-day basis. Angela very, I would say giddy, very giddy when she's watching the monitors. Well, she loves watching those monitors up in the HOH room, seeing what people are up to. She's very giddy when she thought that she saw Cam pull T-Core into the have-not room. She's very happy because she thinks that Cam's probably telling T-Core that T-Core is going to be the renom target today, or getting T-Core to agree to it. He didn't tell her that. And again, T-Core doesn't know that. But Angela's excited, thinking that's the case. All right, we've got Tucker and Angela meeting and talking with one another. She still thinks T-Core has volunteered to be the pawn today. She's telling Tucker that really maybe Tucker should talk her out of it. She doesn't want T-Core going anywhere. Yeah, she agreed to that, but she doesn't really want T-Core going up necessarily. So maybe Tucker could go talk to her. Tucker, understanding this is a whole lot more complex than it needs to be, is telling Angela, saying, look, just don't mess with all this. Just put up Matt tomorrow, which is now today. Just put up Matt, be done with it. Just be direct with it. Don't be doing all this other noms and pawns and all. Just put up Matt and be done with it. And I agree with it completely. It's not as though that she's trying to avoid putting Matt up with the anticipation that if she does that, then they won't put her up the following week. So I understand it's trying to do some damage control, protect herself for the week following. But at the same time, she's already got blood on her hands with Matt. But I get it. She's trying to protect herself for the following week. Tucker's had none of that. Just put Matt up. Don't mess with all this other stuff. All right, some more things that we had in the feeds overnight. As I mentioned, the backyard was open after they got done with the veto competition on Saturday. Everyone is enjoying it for the most part. Very chill, very relaxed. Backyards tend to do that. We even had people that took time in the hot tub. Now, let me just say, from my season, a hot tub in the Big Brother house really isn't that hot. If you're lucky, it's lukewarm water. And I did hear some people talking about that last night, saying, yeah, it's not really hot. And yeah, the water is a little cloudy, a little murky. There's a reason that you don't see a lot of people in that hot tub season after season. Come on, Big Brother, give us a good, decent, big working hot tub would be fantastic. But we had some people that took their chances in a hot tub anyway. And so we saw some of that happening for a little while. All right, some of the conversations that we had outside in the backyard, and a few inside as well later in the evening. We got Leah and MJ and Chelsea talking about how introverted T-Core is, but at the same time, how much they love her. I keep seeing these ladies talking to each other and seeming very tight, and I just keep waiting for they hint around at it, but they haven't called themselves an alliance yet. I think there'll be some kind of ladies alliance at some point, just based on how close some of these women are. We'll see. Doesn't mean it'll work, but I think they want it if they can just figure out how to make it work. All right, we've got Matt and Kenny. It seems like continuing to grow close to one another. We saw in the episode, I think, Kenny talking about how much he liked. Matt talking about how much he liked Kenny. Of course, that was before Kenny went on the block, but we do see the two of them sitting in the backyard together talking. Not really strategy. Maybe a little bit, but mainly just hanging out with each other, which suggests to me that if Kenny could survive this week, I could see Matt and Kenny continuing to work together and maybe making something happen with those two. So we do have that going on a little bit, which is dangerous for Chemo. If you've got now Kenny on the block, but maybe some support from Matt coming in, that wouldn't bode well for Chemo. I think Chemo is going to be safe on Thursday, but Thursday's still a long way away. All right, they're talking about what they are talking about what it's going to be like when Angela is on the block. As up and down as she was as HOH, I think Kenny's the one who first brings it up, says, I can only imagine what a week with Angela on the block would be like in here. And Matt's thinking that would be incredibly painful for all involved to have her on the block and to see how she would respond to that. Yeah, that would be interesting TV for that week. All right, we've got Lisa and Leah talking about putting a alliance together, the two of them, maybe pulling in Quinn and Cam. So again, we've seen it all week. We continue to see people feeling each other out, trying to figure out who they can truly trust versus who, maybe partners of convenience, so to speak. A lot of different alliance configurations put together, and here's yet another one. Lisa and Leah, maybe Quinn, maybe Cam. Who knows how it's going to work out? All right, Lisa is saying that Angela isn't her main alliance, but she feels like she is Angela's. I do feel like it seems like Angela maybe feels like she's close to Lisa. Lisa kind of took on the role of assistant HOH or something after a long talk with Angela, went around trying to get information for Angela. But now she's telling Leah that, yeah, I'm probably Angela's top person, but she's not mine. So it's very one-sided in Lisa's opinion. All right, we've got out in the backyard, Leah and Angela sitting on the grass, very near to the washer and the dryer out there. Spent seems like a couple of hours bonding over the discussion of Leah's underwear line, over women's underwear, and just no strategy, but talking a lot about that for an extended period of time. All right, we've got Tucker and Quinn in the kitchen. Remember how I mentioned in the very first episode of the very first intro, Tucker didn't really like the fact that Lisa jumped in while he was talking about being a chef and said that she was a chef too, and there may be a little battle going on. I think in the episode, Tucker even said, this isn't Master Chef or Hell's Kitchen, or I throw in some random cooking show. But yeah, he said, I'm here to play Big Brother, not a cooking cook-off. Well, anyway, we've got now Tucker and Quinn in the kitchen. Tucker's complaining about Lisa, saying that she throws away too much food. You leave out fruit for just a second, she throws it away. A little bit later, he's complaining. I can't remember who it was he was complaining to, saying she leaves out, or she leaves food out and then recooks it. He says, that food, that shrimp that she cooked, yeah, 3 days later, still out, she recooked it. And he's saying, well, we'll talk about it a little bit. He's saying, yeah, she's making everyone sick in this house, basically. So Tucker is complaining to Quinn about Lisa's cooking skills or lack thereof. He's complaining about the food that she throws away that would be perfectly fine to eat. Later, we've got Brooklyn comes in. Tucker is complaining to Brooklyn as well. Earlier, we had Leah and MJ and Chelsea in the bathroom, and they're wondering if Lisa is even really a chef. Maybe she's just kind of likes to cook, but not really a chef. That's going to rub Lisa the wrong way when she sees that on the feeds at some point when she gets out, right? I mean, that's her profession, and they're saying, yeah, maybe she's not even really a chef. These house guests just really aren't vibing with Lisa at all. Later, Tucker's telling Angela, saying, I volunteered to be a have-not. If this week's have-nots get to pick next week's have-nots, he said, I am picking Lisa to be a have-not. Absolutely. So she may just walk out of the house before she has to live on slop for a week, and I get to go in and cook, and she doesn't get to cook. Later, he complains that she takes up all the burners, so he can't cook his wings. Tucker's just not having it with Lisa in this house. All right, we catch the very tail end of a conversation. Feeds bouncing all around last night. It was a little frustrating at times, but we catch the very tail end of a conversation in the kitchen between Tucker and Joseph. There's talk about an alliance between these two. Joseph eventually says, you and me to the end. He said, I don't want to shake hands because there could be people watching, but you and me to the end. And Tucker says, hell yeah. So we only got the last probably 30 seconds of that conversation, but it sounds like we may have a final two of some sort between Tucker and Joseph at this point in time. All right, we have the pool table out in the backyard. Looks like Rubina is learning how to play pool from Chemo and T-Core, who are playing. A little tough to play pool when you're 4 foot whatever Rubina is. She's having to lean way over to shoot the ball, but she's trying to learn, and it seems like she's having fun with it. Chemo's playing. T-Core looks like she knows her way around a pool table, so she was making some good shots there. So we are seeing some people bond around the pool table. And in an annual tradition of Big Brother, the ants are back. And I'm not talking about your ants that live down the road. No, the backyard ants, the ones that are there for the picnic, for the festival. Normally, It takes a little bit longer in the season for them to show up. They must have been waiting this year, though, because Angela discovers them in her laundry bag. If they're already that close to the backyard, to the washer dryers, these house guests better talk about leaving food out and the effects of that. Well, the ants are going to hear that little siren song and they'll be right inside that house. So, yeah, we've had our first appearance of ants. Hey, it's only going to get worse, guys. Get ready for it. All right, we've got Quinn talking to Cedric and Chelsea about working together. This is back in the mountain rock bedroom in the very back. Quinn's talking to Cedric and Chelsea and saying, look, guys, I really want to work with y'all. I really want to make something happen. Along with these three, if you add in Brooklyn and Cam, that's the Pentagon alliance that formed, I think, 24 hours or so before that. But yeah, Quinn's really saying, guys, y'all are the ones I want to ride with. But at the same time, Quinn's also saying, but we've got this collective, which was 8, 9, 10 people. He's saying, what do we do with those people? If we just leave them hanging there and we don't maintain the collective, they're going to go somewhere else. We've got to try to figure out what we want to do with those people as well. And so he's saying, look, maybe we could kind of have the collective as still being an alliance and we'll talk to those people, but really I want us to be the core group at this point in time. But he's feeling like maybe they can still do something with the collective. Cedric is saying, look, you can say that, but Angela didn't want to be part of the collective. And Quinn said, well, we'll talk to her. We could get her to do it. And at which point Cedric tells Quinn, says, no, Angela does not want to work with me. He feels like I've betrayed her. She's not going to want to have anything to do with any alliance involving me. Angela just has burned a lot of bridges in the last 24, 36 hours. All right, Quinn also mentions while they're having this fairly long conversation, Quinn mentions to Chelsea and Cedric this idea of putting up T-Core as a replacement nominee instead of Matt. Chelsea has a look on her face like she's crazy. Chelsea isn't really understanding why T-Core would go up instead of Matt at this point in time for Angela, and I kind of understand why Chelsea's wondering that as well. But yeah, she's not really buying into why Angela would want that. But Quinn is letting them know that T-Core has been discussed as a potential nominee. After Quinn leaves, Chelsea complains about people in this house not playing the game the way it should be, leaving their brains behind when they came into this house to play. She's talking specifically about Angela and Matt and some of the moves that they're making. I get it, Chelsea. I see some of it as well. So they're talking about that. They're discussing, eventually T-Core comes in and they're talking about alliances and working together, etc. One of the conversations was, what is advantageous the following week in terms of winning HOH? And they've decided that they really don't want Matt or Lisa or MJ to win HOH next week, that one of them could potentially be a nominee. If that was the case, they don't want those three behind it. And certainly Matt's already mentioned T-Core's name as a possible nom. So obviously he doesn't have any love that would keep him from putting her up. And they're thinking MJ and Lisa would consider as well. So they don't want those three to win. T-Core's being told about the collective, this big alliance group. And, oh, by the way, you're in it. Maybe she's in it. Who knows? I'm not going to spend a lot of time with the collective because I don't think it's real. But they are telling her about the collective. T-Core suggesting, saying, well, if it is going to be an alliance, maybe we should all meet and actually talk about the fact that we're in the alliance. And Chelsea, I think, is the one that says, well, yeah, but we got to make sure that other people don't know about it. It's hard for 10 people to meet or 9 people. She says, we've just been meeting in groups of 3, so it's not so obvious what's going on. But yeah, there's a collective alliance, and you're in it, T-Core. So that was pretty funny. Chelsea talking about the lack of privacy and why they're doing the 3s. Now, here's what's interesting. Remember Angela thinking that T-Core's volunteered to be the pawn for this renom ceremony and all that. T-Core tells Chelsea and Cedric, says, look, Matt has been trying to throw out a replacement nominee. He wants to try to get someone to go up as a replacement pawn so that he doesn't have to. And she's saying, I talked about it with Cam, and we're thinking that the person they may be looking as the replacement nominee is probably over here. And she's talking about Joseph as being the renom for today's ceremony. No, T-Core, that's not the name that's being thrown at. It's actually yours. Is it going to happen? I don't think so. I think Tucker's probably right. At the end of the day, it's easier just to put up Matt. I expect that Angela's going to do that, but we'll find out today. But yeah, T-Core thinks that there's a plan in place to put up a pawn. She just doesn't realize it's her name and not Joseph that's being talked about. All right, we've got MJ and Rubina having a fairly long conversation at the island in the kitchen. Not a lot of forward strategy. It's really more just rehashing, rephrasing, explaining conversations that happened with Angela, etc. Mainly, it's MJ trying to explain what her position in the house. Mainly MJ talking and Rubina just kind of listening as well. But they had a nice long conversation in the kitchen. We also had Matt talking to Rubina in the storage room, if I recall, saying that Angela had suggested that he find a pawn for the renomination ceremony that's taking place today. And originally he had just volunteered himself, said, yeah, I don't want to do it. Just put me up, Angela. But then later he thought about T-Core or Tucker or Quinn, one of those three maybe going up instead. I don't remember Matt volunteering the way he phrased it, but whatever. But he is filling in Rubina a little bit. The fact that he's sharing some information with her that MJ a little bit earlier, talked to her a little bit, they're trying to build the relationships as we go through. All right, little funny middle of the night, end of the night type situations going on. Tucker not having a great time in the HOH in the have not room. He's up there. They're snoring. It's stereo snoring between Cam and Chemo. Tucker's not having any of it. Eventually, he pops up and goes downstairs to get some tea and is complaining about all the snoring going on. We had Matt and MJ in the bathroom talking. We'll talk about that more in a second. But Tucker comes in complaining about all the snoring that's going on upstairs, how horrible it is. Pretty quick conversation. Mainly Tucker went in there just to use the restroom. Probably not real happy that they're in there hanging out while he wants to use the restroom. But he did mention the snoring, and there was also enough time for him to get in some complaints about Lisa again. Talked about that. He leaves. As he's leaving, Matt and MJ say, hey, good night, love you, and all that. And Tucker, hey, I love you. And he proceeds to flip them both off. The door's closed, so they don't see it, but he lets his true feelings be known as he's leaving the bathroom and heading back upstairs to the snore room. All right, we've got Matt and MJ, as I said, in the bathroom talking before Tucker comes in and afterwards. They're talking about pulling people into them, how they can build a little bit more of an alliance and reset a lot of stuff that happened this week. Matt is talking about the veto power that MJ holds, and says, hey, don't use it on me because, first of all, I'd rather win in the AI battle arena. And also, I think I've got the votes to stay no matter what. So he's actually telling MJ, don't use it. Hold on to it. We may need it later. That would be quite the quandary if he doesn't do that. I don't know that MJ would use it either. And here's the thing. If MJ uses it, America votes on who takes the place instead. Say Matt goes up. MJ uses a power to pull Matt back off, and now America votes. America could vote, I assume, to put Matt right back on there instead. But she is worried that they could potentially put someone else that would be an ally up instead. They don't know what their place is with America, whether America's cheering for them, cheering against them, how a vote would go. Matt's saying, don't worry about any of it because I don't want you to use it anyway. I doubt she'll use it today. I don't think she will. All right, they're thinking that Angela could have the other power. They know that MJ has one. They're thinking Angela could have the other one, and that's why she's been so power hungry. I suppose the way to word it, why she's been playing the game so hard, because she knows she's safe for the week following. Yeah, a lot of paranoia takes place in this house. All right, Matt mentions potentially bringing in Rubina. They both talked to her earlier. MJ is saying that she's not sure that Rubina brings anything new to the group if they were to bring her in. Matt says, well, she's got a great social game. I think that would be great. But MJ just not really ready to bring Rubina in too quick at this point in time. There's mention that if they get the HOH, that maybe Angela and Joseph and maybe Kenny would go up if either one of them win the HOH on Thursday. So remember how I said Matt and Kenny seem to be getting along better? that doesn't translate to protection, I suppose, from being put on the block. So we'll see. But certainly Joseph and Angela would be their top two targets, and then maybe just Kenny as a pawn. I think Kenny would respond well to being a on the block 2 weeks in a row. Yeah, I don't think so either. But they've talked about it. They're convinced that Lisa. They talked about Angela maybe having the other power. They're also convinced that Lisa has the other power. They don't know who's got the other power. All right, their talk eventually turns into a little bit away from strategy into past relationships. MJ talks about her last relationship. She was hurt hard or hit hard or whatever. Just some stuff that makes you think there's still maybe an opportunity for a showmance. Here's the thing. Maybe they end up in the showmance. Do they like the idea of being in the showmance more than they like actually being in a showmance with each other? I don't know yet. We'll find out where that goes. But there was some talk about past relationships and such. All right, let's finish this up with the snore room, then we'll shut it down. Tucker back up to the have not room. Still not happy with the snoring going on. A little bit of Cam, but mainly Chemo. He tries to wake up Chemo a couple of times. Say, "Oh, come on, bro! You gotta stop! You gotta stop snoring." Chemo stops for just a second and then starts right back up. Tucker's just not doing well. He is not happy with all the snoring taking place. He keeps saying he wants earplugs, trying to get Chemo to stop. Now, here's the thing: slop ends tonight, is my understanding. At midnight, they can go back to their regular menu, which they're all going to appreciate, but they're still going to be sleeping in the have-not room. I don't think that part of have-nots has ended. I'm sure Tucker's going to be wishing to be sleeping anywhere other than the have-not room because he had a rough night with it. It was kind of the Tucker show yesterday between some of his adventures with some people and then snoring at the end. That was actually kind of funny to watch. All right, there you have it, guys. Today, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the veto ceremony, at which point MJ will decide whether or not she wants to use her power. I don't think it'll happen during the veto ceremony itself. Angela, maybe it could be T-Core, maybe it could be Matt. I think it'll be Matt, but we will see. I'll be back tomorrow morning to talk about it a little bit more. So I'll see you tomorrow. But as at the same time, tonight, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central, Cliff Notes Live. We'll be talking about everything that happened for an hour or so. So y'all come on out if you got any questions. Join me on Cliff Notes Live, also on YouTube. We'll talk about it, and then I'll see y'all tomorrow morning to talk about what happened to the veto ceremony, what happened overnight, and where we're headed going into Thursday. Until then, guys, y'all have a great one. Enjoy your Monday. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Bye.